So I would say that wherever you live in the world at the moment, I mean, certainly in the United Kingdom and the United States, that there are concerns about the economy. I mean, to say that things are troublesome would be an understatement at this point. And today we are hearing about a trade deal between the UK and the US, which is supposed to reassure everyone, presumably, because we need to keep them on side, even though they are now an authoritarian state who will create significant economic pressures for their own population. Women are not part of this conversation. You know, we're not involved in it, we are not consulted about it. We are also really kind of we are actively excluded from it because of the perception that we are not as involved in the workforce or contributing to society. Therefore, we are not a kind of a relevant or valid voice within that, which is, I mean, I don't even know where to start with it, but it's true. That is what the common understanding is, or what people think about, why it's not okay for women to kind of get involved in this. Um, Regardless of the fact that women's free labour keeps society going. Women are not paid for the work that we do to look after people, including raising children, looking after people with disabilities, family members, elders, and not to mention being the majority of the workers who are involved in caregiving professions. So we are keeping everything on track, keeping everybody going, and we're not paid to do that. On top of that, we are financially penalised if the majority of women become mothers. And when we have children, our financial capabilities are severely diminished. I mean, that's an understatement, but some recent research has come out and found that actually working mothers have kind of a clearer um, want and need to be promoted than the wider female population, which makes sense in terms of we've got kids, we need more money. Okay, we need to get this show on the road. We need to earn. We need to feed them, clothe them. But it'd be quite nice if we could save for them to maybe I don't know, go to university or something like that, have an education, that kind of thing. Um, so we're doing all of these things to provide free labour and support. We are penalised for having children, which is a sort of, you could say it's a vital part of society. I mean, I would say it's quite important, but the way that systems work are that they protect the wealthy elite at the top and they really exploit everybody else. I mean, we can see this playing out in the US with Trump politics, and it's really interesting to see, although it's deeply painful and upsetting, the kind of outcome of this almost sort of political experiment where this is kind of the pinnacle of right wing politics convincing the working classes that they need to vote for the elite to make their lives better. It's the divide and conquer idea that, the Conservatives have been doing it in this country forever. I mean, that's what Thatcher was all about. It's this idea that if you really kind of divide the working classes so that they hate anyone who is different, so they will hate people who are immigrants. They will hate women because they feel that women will be taking their jobs from them. This idea that there's an othering, clearly Hitler used it in the Second World War against the Jewish population, but also against intellectuals, and various other groups, including people who were LGBTQ plus. So this playbook is not new. What's slightly different about it is the level of sheer incompetence that we're witnessing, which is kind of beyond anything that we've seen before. So it is playing out in a way which really kind of tests um, the limits of what people will believe until it really hits them. So the fact that now we are seeing a kind of, I would say, a sort of real time deterioration of Trump is because his, I mean, his that he has no policies. It's chaos. It doesn't make any sense. If you were to leave a toddler at the wheel of a car and you just let them get on with it, eventually the car is going to crash. So we're going to see the car crash, but at what point will the passengers decide that enough is enough and they want to get out? Will it be when the engine is on fire? Will it be when the car explodes and they are still inside the vehicle? I mean, I really hope that people get out before the crash, but I'm not sure. So, all these sort of decisions being made, the way in which right wing politics works, the impact that it has on women, because the the kind of fundamental issue with this is that women are always poorer. We always are. Even if the outward projection, sorry, even if the outward projection is that we appear wealthy, it's usually, in that instance, it's usually because we have a partner who earns more than us, usually a lot more than us, and then it kind of overshadows what our income is anyway. So it's very difficult to really get a sense of how much wealth we can even accumulate, because it works better for us if we are in a partnership with somebody who has an income, because men are likely to earn at least 20% more than us anyway. It's harder if we're on our own because we are really generating our own income in whatever form, in a job or as a startup or a business or whatever it is, and doing the full-time job of being a parent as well. So, that makes it impossible anyway. So we don't have the opportunity to accumulate wealth. We can't save in the same way. We can't invest in the same way. We don't have the same financial freedom. When we have children, we become worse off. When men have children, they become better off. So we can't accumulate wealth in the same way. But even when we do, and this is important, even when we do, it's a fraction of what the highest earning rather, men are making. So, like, for example, in the UK, the highest earning executive in about 2023 brought in 39 million. The highest earning female brought in 6. So you can say, oh, boo-hoo, how horrible for her. She has to live on £6 million. Well, if we are an equal society, which obviously we're not, but we are half of the population. We are here, we do exist, but we can't find equity even at the very top. It's just beyond. It's not possible. How do you think that shows up at every other level? That is kind of the pinnacle, and it's reflecting how disenfranchised we are, even if we hit the big time, even if we are as successful as we could possibly hope to be. Martha Stewart is the cautionary tale on this, because she was the first female billionaire, certainly in America, possibly the world. And what does it say to you? That as soon as she hit that mark, as soon as she got that milestone, I think it was like within a year, she was serving a 5-month jail sentence when she was kind of around 60. And it was all on trumped up. See what I did there? Trumped up charges around insider trading, which if you are bothered to look into it, it is a joke in terms of the kind of banality of it, the vagueness of it, and how she was brought down on it, for something that if there's a male equivalent, we see men get off with. They get off with far more all the time. I mean, in this country, we have got a member of the royal family who got away with being mates with a trafficker who was prolific, and one of his alleged victims has recently taken her own life. Has he seen any consequences? No. Did he settle out of court? Yes. You know, think about where this leaves us, okay? This is the context of it. So when people say that women don't have any part in talking about politics, in talking about economics, we are at the front of it, my friend, because we are the ones who get it first. We experience the pain first. We're already dealing with the pain of having less financially, wealth-wise than men, no matter what we do. So if you're going to put more economic pressure on a society, we're going to feel the pain first. We're going to be the first to end up having to go on benefits, draw disability benefits. As single mums ending up in debt, having higher levels of poverty within the population. And you know what happens when women experience more poverty? Children end up in poverty. It's very simple, because women who are trying to do it on our own are finding the financial situation even harder. And then the people who are dependent on us are the children who end up in poverty. And there are huge numbers in the UK of children living in poverty right now, which is disgusting. It's just disgusting. So, in conclusion, if anybody wants to talk about politics or economics and they think that feminism and equality, we haven't even touched on intersectionality, which we should, because things just get harder and harder if you're a woman, and then throw on top of that you weren't born in this country, you are from an ethnic minority, you don't speak English. I mean, that is a killer. That's a killer one. Immigration status, disability, it's hard. It's already hard enough. And you think that women don't have much wealth or access. Think about how it feels if you're not white, you have a disability, that you are lesbian. Think about how that will affect it. Yes, it's not going to be easy. And that is the illusion, that we're kind of sold the idea that if we just stay in line, work hard enough, then we will secure enough wealth, enough security. I said to somebody recently, women want power to feel safe. Men want power to control. And that's all we kind of want. We just want to be safe and left to get on with our lives and not have to worry about, being able to do simple things like feed and clothe our children. So the next time somebody says that feminism, equality has nothing to do with economics, just remember that it's women who are at the sharp end of economics every single time. And if more of us are aware of that, if more of us can say, instead of listening to the idea of what's being sold to us, that it's on us if we just work hard enough and we do our best, then that's going to create a serious problem for systems. Because if we're just not going to play the game anymore, if we're going to do things on our own terms and push back, if enough of us do that, that's going to create a problem. But, even if we do it on our own, we can sleep at night and not give a toss about what governments or patriarchy think. So that's always a bonus. We're poor anyway. We're poor anyway, and we're not safe. So let's just do one. All right. Try to keep it a little bit briefer today, but still quite long. If you have any comments, please add them. I would love you to subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and just show some support and show up. All right. Thanks. Bye.